Welcome to Elevate Today podcast, where we will elevate one podcast at a time. Today, I have with me a very special guest, the MMA director of UFC Fit, coach of Jiujitsu and a black belt, a homeowner, a business owner, and one of my mentors and coaches for mixed martial arts and pretty much everything I learned for fun in regards to MMA. I bring you Coach Murph.
What's up, everybody? How you doing today?
Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
I'm so happy that you're here. I feel like a lot of people are going to be super excited to tune in on your story.
I sure hope so.
A lot of people are curious about you, especially at Jiu-Jitsu. Like, we're in class every single day, learning something new, going live with each other, but like to know someone's story, to know someone's state of mind, like we get good glimpses, but hopefully we can lay it all out here today.
Yep. Looking forward to it. So,
all right, let's go down to your upbringing, your family, your childhood, what it was like for you growing up.
Childhood was pretty good. Grew up in a real solid family. Mom and dad. Father's a retired San Jose police officer. My mom's a retired teacher. I got two older brothers. I got a little brother and sister, and I grew up the middle child. They're both twins, so my mom had 5 kids in 3 years.
Dang.
So yeah, that's kind of where I get my competitive side from.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So.
That's so I want to have 6 kids, and to get 5 of them done in 3 years sounds so convenient.
Probably is.
I mean,
a lot of work though.
Yeah, if you have someone helping you, but that's crazy. What's the age difference between you and the sets?
About a year. My brothers are 38. I'm 37. My brother and sister, they just turned 36. So
whoa,
we're all
you guys were all in high school together.
Yep.
Were you guys close? Would you hang out?
No, we wouldn't necessarily hang out. Well, me and my older brothers did, but my brother and sister, they kind of had their own thing going on. But me and my older brothers were always real tight. So
that's so fun.
Yeah, I credit those guys for making me tough.
Dang. And were your parents very involved in your guys' lives growing up?
Yeah, definitely. So we all played sports, grew up playing football, doing wrestling, things like that. So my parents were always very involved in getting us to and from sports and making sure we were behaving and just growing up the right way. So.
Dang. So how soon did you get into jiu-jitsu?
Well, right after high school. So I just finished football, and that was like the love of my life at the time. And I didn't know what I was going to do, and I was going to go to a junior college. And then coincidentally, I was at Gold's Gym lifting weights one day, and I met a dude who was in the UFC at the time. And he kind of brought me over to American Kickboxing Academy, and that's where it all kind of started for me.
Oh, you started at AKA.
Yeah, and that was back in like 2004, yeah, right around there. So.
Dang.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So you know a lot of these fighters.
Yeah.
I've learned that. I'll be like talking to someone. I'm like, Coach Murph is my coach. Oh, I know Coach Murph. I'm like, wow, small world.
Been around a long time, so.
Yeah.
And it's a small community out here, so.
Yeah. And I like this area has a lot of good fighting spots.
Oh, yeah. Totally. A lot of good fighters have come out of San Jose, so.
Yeah. So I have a question. Why are people so obsessed with football?
It's a great game. It's America's game. It's only the real sport that's uniquely American. So I think that's the draw to it, is like, it just makes us feel good. It's something that's, even living overseas, when I lived overseas, football is something that you kind of just associate with America and American things. So I think that's the obsession of it.
That's like a guy thing I'll never understand. Just how like excited they get and mad they get when their team loses, or people that play football, they're just like, this is it, this is my life. And I'm like, how? Why?
Well, I mean, it's a team sport, and it's like a brotherhood. I mean, those guys you go on the field with, they're like your gang, and you'll go to war with them. You'll go out there and die for them. So it's like a brotherhood and a bond you form out there. So, I mean, it's pretty fun stuff. And it's a pretty violent game, right?
And it's all men. So, like, I feel like they're just true to their instinctual nature of beating each other up and just
violence. And it's a tough sport, though. I mean, obviously, a lot of people get injured, and we had that injury Thursday night from the quarterback from the Dolphins. I don't know if you saw that, but he got slammed on his head, and it's pretty bad. So, yeah. Yeah,
the brain damage. Yeah, the science of that is really sad.
It really is.
Yeah. So you stopped doing football after high school at Live Oak.
Actually, my senior year, I played at Oak Grove High School. So I transferred high schools.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I wasn't at Live Oak forever, but I ended up graduating from Live Oak in the end.
What?
So, yeah. So it was crazy. My high school story is kind of crazy just because I bounced around a little bit. Like I said, my brothers kind of had a bad reputation back in the day, and I fortunately have the same last name as them, so I kind of got stuck with a little bit of that. So it was better for me to just kind of leave and start over. So that's what I did.
Dang, was it hard making friends?
No, it wasn't hard making friends at all.
You always been social?
Well, no, I've always been an athlete. And I think, being athletic and being involved in team sports, I mean, you make your friends that way a lot. So athletics is it's a big deal, especially in high school, if you're kind of not good at making friends, maybe try playing sports.
Yeah. That's so true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand how people make friends like outside of that. Like you really got to be like, hey, what you doing? But in sports, you're forced to be around each other, and the pain and challenge that you go through together really brings people together.
Yeah, and the same can be said with jiu-jitsu, right? I mean, like most of the people I know and I'm friends with to this day, I met through jiu-jitsu. So
yeah, that's literally been me the past I guess 2 months. Have I been doing jiu-jitsu for 2 months?
Maybe 2 to 3 months now since we opened.
Yep. Yeah, because I was gone for 2 weeks. But yeah, like I don't even hang out with a lot of these people, but just like seeing each other once. I mean, it used to be once a day, but now it's more like 4 to 5 times or 3 to 5 times because of this podcast. But there's nothing like our jiu-jitsu community that we have. I love it. Like I love seeing everyone and seeing everyone progress and trying to beat people.
Right, and that's the thing about it is you make friends with people by trying to beat the shit out of each other. I don't know, there's like some way to bond in there, I guess.
Yeah, or
Nothing
like
brings you together
meeting
like
someone
that.
and be like, dang, you did it. And then being like, I'm going to get you the next one. Or
Right.
people will be throwing in deals like, you owe me $20 if you submit me or stuff like that. Or like I'll get submitted like over and over and then being able to ask, how did you do that? And then learning it. It's like this weird, like not love-hate relationship, but teach me how you hurt me so I can do it to you next time. Yeah.
It's all love in there though at the end of the day, right?
There is so much love in that gym space. Like you just posted when Nick and Mimi were going live. Like you just do that. You just end up in there so much longer. Like I would do that often, just staying in there, learning something, and you get in sync with that moment and learning and progressing and challenging yourself to learn something new that you lose track of time. And very few things in life make you lose track of time where you could do it forever. Like maybe a week ago, we were all in there till 9 o'clock at night and we got in there at 6. That's so funny. I love the sport.
That's why jiu-jitsu is great though, right? I mean, when anything that makes you not want to look at your phone or lose track of time, that's worth pursuing with all your heart. So, right? I mean, we put a lot of time in and make some good friends doing it. So
that is so true.
Right.
That is so true. Yeah. And now one of the girls, she started doing jiu-jitsu and she's like, well, now we have to have a potluck. Like, I love that. She wants to like bring everyone together.
She wants to get together outside of the gym, right? And yeah, that's the best.
You're just like, but all we do, like, what day? Because we have to be in the gym every day.
That's right. But it's like family. I mean, you guys beat the hell out of each other one day and it's all good the next. So
yeah. And I'm extremely proud of how like we're getting more girls right now.
Well, thanks to you, right? I mean, like the more you show up and the more the other girls show up, the other girls are going to come. So
I try to be all bubbly because when you go in there and just like,
oh, totally.
10 push-ups. Okay. But when I see girls, I'm like, oh my gosh, hi. Like, I'm so happy you're here. We're going to have so much fun. We're going to learn together. And they got all excited. And then it's just fun, like, realizing that when some girls get in their intense zone, but with new girls, this is so new to them. And it's so funny when they come in, like, it's so much intensity. Like, I like to be like, this is going to be fun. Trust me, everyone in here is addicted to this. There's something about it that is extremely addictive. So keep coming and you'll love it. Just get past the intensity because eventually it'll be you, you know?
Oh, definitely. And you got to get past like the first week, the first month, right? And maybe even the first year where everybody's beating you and you're not winning a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the hardest part, right? Is to humble yourself every day when you're constantly not where you want to be. And jiu-jitsu is like that. I mean, for a while, I remember for a couple of years, me just being like, man, am I ever going to get good at this?
Yeah.
Right? Am I ever going to learn how to do this? Or can I ever move like that guy? I want to move like that guy. I want to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Right? I want to move like him or be able to do that. And it just takes time. And that's where people get lost. Is like there's no instant gratification from jiu-jitsu or boxing or some of these other martial arts. You could learn a combination and you could, within 2 or 3 weeks, you could throw those punches and make a video and put it up on your Instagram and make it look good, where jiu-jitsu is not like that.
Yeah.
To make jiu-jitsu look good, it takes years, decades. So
that's what's so enticing about it.
Yeah, it really is.
And if you miss a week of training and then you go back, there's people that you were able to beat before that you can't beat.
Yeah.
And you just feel it and you're like, dang it, I missed a week and I can tell.
Yeah.
And I think that's like an addictive part of it because there's constant opportunity for progression.
For sure. And you don't want to be the person, like I said, you don't want to be the nail every day. You want to get to the point where you can be the hammer. And that's the goal. And the more time we spend being the nail, the faster we get to being able to become the hammer one day. So you just got to get used to being the nail before you can turn into the hammer. So
yeah,
right.
That's why I tell everyone to do jujitsu. Like, it's kind of random people too that would not do it, but I'm like, trust me, you just got to get through the first month and you're going to love it. It's going to be your mental health outlet. It's going to be your favorite kind of workout. It's going to be where you meet people that push you and challenge you, because everyone's there to literally learn and be challenged.
Right, and get better.
Yeah.
And stronger.
And I agree with how a lot of people in that gym think, for whatever reason. Like, I just end up having great conversations with these people because we're all like-minded, and the fact that we understand in life, it requires hard work, period.
Definitely. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
You're not going to get anywhere without hard work. And I think jiu-jitsu, it humbles you, right? And even if life's not going to humble you, jiu-jitsu will. So that's why it's important for people to come in the room, because we're all equal in there, right? I mean, you might be big in life at your job, or you might have all the money in the world or everything you've ever wanted, but you step on that mat and everybody's equal. So that's the best part about it, right?
I love that.
Right.
And even with the age thing, like, it's almost age doesn't exist in there.
Doesn't.
You show your strength, and you show your skill, and you show your progression. And it always throws me off when I match people's age to like their belt or their skill level. I'm like, oh.
Sometimes it doesn't make sense, right? Like, we have some 15-year-olds in there that are taking grown men's lunch money, and
14-year-olds.
14-year-olds even. So that's the power of jiu-jitsu, though, right? Is like, everybody's born equally, and then some people learn jiu-jitsu. So
that's so true.
Right?
How have you stuck with it so long?
I don't know. I'm just a person who's always been, disciplined.
Yeah.
And when I love something, I go all in. So it's just been with me almost the last 20 years now, and it's not going anywhere. So
I get that. I could get that. Like, I guess the difference is, for me, there's more like social aspects to it, or like very intentionally choosing to be around like-minded people.
Right.
But I can't imagine like the days where you don't want to show up, but you do, or maybe you always do, or maybe it's the tattoo thing, which you didn't tell your story.
Oh, that's right. So
okay.
Back to the jiu-jitsu tattoo story. So basically, I mean, there was a time when I got stuck at purple belt for almost, I think, 7 years. I wore the same belt, and thing was like falling apart.
Jeez. And
I actually quit for a while. I was like, I'm gonna quit. I'm stuck here in the mud. I'm not going anywhere. Life has to go on. I need to go do things. But the tattoo was kind of a symbol, of, hey, you got to look in the mirror every day, and you got to finish what you started, because it's written on your chest. So you got to live up to what you started. So that's just a reminder of me to get up every day and do what I said I was going to do. So
that's so intense. That's so intense. Like, you really full sent that. You just went all in.
Yeah. So you got to go all in sometimes, right? I mean, especially when you really want something, you got to go for it, right? Life's short. You only live once. So go get what you want.
Yeah.
Go take it. No one's going to give it to you. So
yeah, literally, why not?
Why not?
Especially for jiu-jitsu, because the progression is so slow.
So slow.
Like, you got to commit.
You got to.
Yeah.
You got to be there on the days that you don't want to be there, like you were just mentioning. Those are the most important days, right? That's when you're really going to grow. Everybody likes doing things when they feel like it, but real disciplined people, they get up and do it on the days where they don't even want to. They don't feel like doing it at all. And those are the days where you grow, maybe not necessarily physically, but mentally. That's where you take that next step. So those are the most important days.
Yeah. And those end up, like, you find a source of energy that you didn't know was there. Like, once you get in the mat, once you start rolling, then you're like, oh, I wasn't tired. I was just wasn't thinking to put my mind there. I
just didn't let discipline do the work. So you just got to put discipline out there. The discipline will do the work for you. And once you have the discipline, right, that's the hardest part, is how do I become disciplined, right? I hear people ask that all the time. Like, you always talk about discipline, Coach. Well, how do I gain discipline? I think we just said it. Go do the things that you said you were going to do on the days you don't want to do them. That's discipline right there. So that takes practice, right? Getting up and going after the day, or your goals, or jiu-jitsu, or whatever, when you don't feel like it. Those are the most valuable days. So I think that's something we could all. Yeah.
So what would you say if someone specifically was starting jiu-jitsu, like a good amount of jiu-jitsu to do if they're just getting started?
I'd say, like, focus on the 10 moves that are going to take you to black belt. You don't need to know everything about jiu-jitsu to be a black belt. You just got to take the 10 moves that work for you and the body that God gave you, and master those moves. So if you look at it like that, instead of looking at the whole puzzle, just look at the 10 pieces that are going to take you where you need to go. So you don't need a lot. You just need to be good at what you know. So
Yeah.
That's really the answer. And it helps, right? You don't have to focus on the whole, because jiu-jitsu's got like what, maybe 1,000 moves in it or more, but you really only need 10 moves to get to the black belt. So I think if you just focus on that, it's way easier, right? So,
but mastering a move, there's a lot to it.
There is.
Yeah.
And once you know how to do it, I mean, then you got to figure out when. Okay, I know how to do it, but now when do I do it? When do I need this? Where does this fit in during an actual live match or a real fight, right? So it's not about just learning how, but when and why, and then where does it fit in? So that's when you're really a master, right? When you master now I know how, and then when and the why. So that's the difference.
So you just committed to jiu-jitsu. Like, you don't even get bored of it anymore.
No, I love it. It's my life. It's my life. And through jiu-jitsu, like, I mean, I've met a lot of people, and it's my way of giving back, right? It's my way of helping people. I feel like God brings me a lot of broken people, and jiu-jitsu is kind of my way of fixing the broken, I guess. So that's how I look at it. I'm doing more than just martial arts. I'm out here doing God's work. So
literally, go into that, like, because you say jiu-jitsu is kind of like church for you.
Well, yeah, I always joke around and say the mat is my church, right? And like, God didn't bring me to the altar, he brought me to the mat, you know? So that's the thing. That's where I get to help people out. That's where I get to give back. And obviously, you know, especially after the last couple of years with COVID and all the negativity being pushed on us by the media and all these other outlets, I think people need jiu-jitsu more than ever, and they need people more than ever. And so the broken people come in, and we're going to be there for them. So
yeah, that's so true. That's what it was for me. I almost moved. So I almost moved to Carlsbad.
Oh, wow.
And I ended up staying here. And so I was just like rethinking, because I, upped and left. So now I'm back figuring things out. I saw this gym, and I was like, well, that's something new. Like, switch it up. I'm working in San Jose anyways. And as soon as I found jiu-jitsu, I'm like, whoa. I was planning on doing every single class and being like having a wide variety and with all of them. But after meeting you and after meeting Xavier, I felt like this warmth, like this like community feeling that we're all looking for somewhere. And the intensity and the challenge to learn, I was like, I love this. And it became my everyday. Like, I was going in every day.
Yeah, you were. And
I was always trying to get extra time, trying to learn extra, because it just replaced all of this like wasted thoughts, wasted energy, negative thoughts. It was just, I didn't have time to think about feeling bad for myself or being a victim. I just was obsessed with this new thing and wanted to get good at it. And like, I could almost forget about what it felt like to be so like low and not knowing what to do with my direction of life, because I just replaced it with jiu-jitsu. And then so many things started like showing itself. And now I can't say I'm the happiest I've ever been. And I know that jiu-jitsu plays a big role in that.
Absolutely.
And your coaching style. Honestly, like, everyone I've talked to about jiu-jitsu, at some point of whatever we're doing, whatever talking we're doing, we're just hyping you up. We're like, Coach Murph is the best. He always just gives us the best advice. He always gives us something to learn that we feel like we have edge on other people, and builds our confidence. And that's what we need. You said it one time. You said, it's a cold world doesn't mean we have to be.
Exactly.
And I feel like, in a lot of these classes, a lot of people have their different challenges they face, but to go in there and feel strong and feel challenged, but also feel inspired and motivated to keep going because of your coaching method, it's unique. I'm used to more of a wrestling style, which, that's just the world I was brought up in with my brother and with my dad. And it's intense. It's just like constantly bringing them down because they want them to be challenged to build themselves up by pushing themselves. But so with you, it's different. Like, sometimes I expect you to get mad at me for something, for skipping a class, and you're like, you got to maintain your balance, or your podcast is important, take care of that. And I'm like, really? Like, you're not going to get mad at me? I don't need to fear like skipping a class. And it was refreshing because, like, as an adult, not being just a student of the art or the sport, it was really, it's what I need. It's what I've wanted to put into my lifestyle, and it just fits perfectly.
Yeah, I think maybe you found your balance, right? And that's the goal, right? Is you don't want to do anything in excess, right? Because that's when the burnout phase happens. That's when you want to quit, things like that. So I'm aware of that as a coach, right? And I'm also aware of the fact that everybody has a life outside of jiu-jitsu, right? And there's relationships, there's jobs, there's school, there's family, people have kids. So, I mean, as much as I want everybody there all the time, my job is to make sure that you guys are happy and that you're living your life with balance, right? And that's what a good coach does. Not to tear you down, but to build you up, to give you confidence, and let you know that you can go do anything you want in this world. You just got to believe it, right? And I think that's where martial arts comes in for a lot of people. Is most people don't have confidence, right? And that's kind of my thing. Is I'm a confidence coach more than I'm a fight coach. And don't get me wrong, not everybody needs confidence. Some people need to be leveled out too, right? So I mean, you just got to kind of know who needs what, and then just give them what they need. I think that's what makes a coach a great coach. And you can't treat everybody the same because not everybody's the same. So, right?
Yeah, that's very true. Man, I love it. Do you want to go into your other side business?
Yeah, we could talk about cannabis. Sure.
So go ahead and explain, or you can explain, because it all started like around the beginning time of COVID, right?
Yeah. So basically, well, I've been in the cannabis industry for a long time. Like most of the money I made in my 20s, I did it as a sun-grown farmer or an outdoor marijuana farmer, which was pretty cool. I mean, I spent months living outside, 8-9 months at a time, living in a tent, no running water, no electricity, living off the grid, if you will. I know some people fantasize about living that life, but I've actually lived it. And believe me, it's not all that it's cut out to be.
Yeah.
But during COVID, basically, obviously, fitness, gyms, everything shut down. So I kind of had to pivot. And me and one of my best friends, who's an absolute just guru in the cannabis world, we took all the money we had and we reinvested, and we opened up a small cannabis cultivation business over the last couple of years, and that's been doing pretty nice for us. It's called Deluxe Cannabis. That's DELUXE, Deluxe.
Follow them on Instagram.
That's right. And we can, like, marijuana. I think the biggest thing with marijuana is the stigma around marijuana and the people who smoke it.
Yeah.
And the term gateway drug, I know that gets kicked around a lot, but I would disagree. I mean, I think the real gateway drug is alcohol, right? And marijuana is something that actually helps people. It's real medicine, right? And I think the only reason why it's been looked at the way it has for the last 50 to 100 years is because of Big Pharma. And obviously they want to control the medicine and the medical field. So they started a war on marijuana, and they made people who use marijuana look like they're lazy, look like they're unproductive, look like they don't do anything with their life, and they go to other drugs and they become these lost, degenerate souls, when I think it's the complete opposite. I think people who use marijuana for medical reasons, such as myself, I think it enhances our lives. I'm not your typical stoner, obviously, right? I'm an athlete, right? I work more than 40 hours every week, and I take care of all my business and all the things I need to do. And I think that I'm one of millions of people out there like that. And I just, like I said, I want to help be one of the people who gets rid of this stigma about marijuana, and allow people to talk about it and use it and medicate with it and enhance their lives with it the way I've been able to enhance my life. So I think just kind of getting rid of that marijuana is bad, people who use marijuana are junkies or drug addicts. I think we need to do away with that, because it's 2022 and I've seen marijuana elevate more people than I've seen it destroy. So
there's that word.
Let's talk about it, right?
Yeah. And I think it's maybe because it was illegal for so long, that because it had that, oh, it's illegal, it was always in that party atmosphere. And I'm kind of curious when people are going to start using marijuana as like a form of therapy, like communication therapy, where you allow your mind to get to that state and then question their situation in life or whatever they're struggling with while they're in that state of mind, to see if they perceive things differently. And that's the problem, that they see it as a party thing. You got to be out on the weekend or stuff like that. But if you use it more as a tool or as a medicine, like, I feel like the stigma could change.
It definitely will change. And I think with more research that's being done on it, and more testing and things like that, and the safer it's getting, right? With the legalities behind marijuana now, you have to have your medicine tested. So, I mean, everybody knows they're smoking safe, clean marijuana, and you don't have to smoke it. If you're not into smoking, you can eat it. I mean, there's there's ways you can drop it under your tongue. There's things you can do to where you're getting the effects of the medicine without actually smoking it. So, I mean, if smoking's not your thing, there's plenty of ways to medicate. So
yeah,
keep an open mind.
There is such a stigma because for such a long time, like I just assumed stoners were very lazy because I grew up on that same stigma. It was enforced in me.
Right.
Yeah. So I assumed that when you're a stoner, you're just lazy. You stay home, you get the munchies, you are just content being on the couch all day. So when I started meeting stoners that were like jiu-jitsu black belts or business owners or super ambitious, I was like shocked. But it's almost like they don't really rep it because of the stigma. But it's like kind of mind-blowing that there is a lot of people that are on it that are extremely productive, extremely creative, extremely strategic, and there's some where their body doesn't sit right with it too.
Absolutely.
I just think that there's like a hard stigma on it because that's all I hear.
And yeah, marijuana is not going to be for everybody, right? But nothing is for everybody. So just because it's not for you doesn't mean you have to judge the people around you who it does elevate. Right. And I think that's a lot of the people out here is like they want to point fingers and they want to, oh, you smoke and you must be a bad guy. But at the end of the day, I think we all medicate in our own way, right?
Yeah.
We all have ways we self-medicate. And I don't think it's my job to judge anybody for how they choose to medicate. And I don't think they should judge me either. So
yeah, it's when I started like understanding marijuana more and experiencing it, every time I would meet someone or hear about someone that's a stoner, I just knew I would connect with them, and that's never failed. Like, it's just the funniest thing. Like, oh yeah, this is my friend, he's a stoner. I'm always like, I'm so gonna get along with them, and I always end up having the deepest conversation with them or going straight to like analytical thought processes that I know they have because their third eye is more open, if that makes sense. The creative part of their brain is more lit up. And all of those people that I know that are like stoners, I can literally go to them like, can you give me some advice on this situation? And it's not like off-putting to them. They're not like, oh, that's sure, I guess. They're just like, yeah, okay, because that's their state of mind, their flow, they're open-minded more, and it's such a refreshing thing to be around. And that's why I feel like you and I have been able to have a lot of conversations about so many things. Like, I feel like every conversation we have is pretty much like a podcast because of where your state of mind has been, where my state of mind has been, where we can see the walls, we could see the ego.
Absolutely.
I don't know why this herb does that, but it does that, and it's very fascinating. And what's nice is you have these eye-opening realizations, and you can just keep it. You can hold on to it. You can write it down and store it in your pocket for when you're in a normal state of mind, and just be like, I could see you. Like, I see your patterns. I see your walls. I understand. I feel you. And what's interesting, I feel like it brings an observation out of everyone. Oh,
absolutely. And like you said, it allows you to feel people, right? I feel like I'm way more in tune with other people and how they feel emotionally when I'm medicated myself. I mean, it's easy, especially with what I do for a living, right? I mean, obviously I'm in a one-on-one setting with people quite a bit. And I just feel like it makes me more patient, makes me more kind, loving, understanding, just makes me a better, like, more empath of a person, instead of being so like, forget about how you feel, I don't care if you're tired, do what I say type coach, trainer, which there's a lot of those guys and girls out there. I feel like when I'm medicated, I'm able to connect with people on a more emotional level. So
why do you think that is?
You know, I don't know, but it makes people feel good, right? You vibrate at a different frequency, I feel like. So I mean, and that's why I'm so against alcohol, because I think alcohol is the opposite, where you've never met an aggressive, angry stoner. Yeah. But how many times have we seen aggressive, angry people who are drunk under the influence of alcohol? The decision-making skills just go away. Or I think you tend to think about things deeper when you're stoned, right? Where you're not just going to go off of emotion or, oh, fuck it, I'm drunk, let's go. But you're going to take the time to think deeply on, should I do that? Should I say that? Should I not? And that's going to allow you to mature. Right? As an adult, as a human, you don't want to open your mouth ever before you think, or you don't ever want to go into action before you think. So marijuana allows me to slow down and think about what I do and say before I do it, and make better decisions ultimately.
Which is the opposite of alcohol.
Which is the complete opposite of alcohol.
And it's so funny how that's normal. That's okay.
Right.
And I could argue anyone that I would much prefer someone be stoned around me than someone be drunk around
Same.
me. I mean, I'm fine with both. I think they're both fun. But like safer marijuana
Definitely.
by far.
Totally.
Like a drunk person's not gonna hit me. A drunk person's not gonna say something they shouldn't a drunk person would say something they shouldn't say. A drunk person would be aggressive. A drunk person would not think out something and do something dumb. But a stoner would just be more like at the very stoner state, just like looking at me or just have a deep random thought. And which one's safer?
Right. Observing, analyzing, taking
Yeah.
your time, or running into things, rushing into things, saying the wrong things out of emotion, right? Doing the wrong things. And remember, when we say the wrong things and do the wrong things, we can't unsay and undo those things, right? Even if you apologize. I've had a lot of people say things and do things to me under the influence of alcohol, and yeah, I forgive them, but it's like I'm never going to forget what you said or did. So
Yeah. Yep. That's true. And it's unfortunate how everyone starts with alcohol.
right. And I don't know why it's that way, but like I said, we should look deeper into marijuana and less.
Yeah, maybe
alcohol.
it's because alcohol is the least bad according to standards of the world. So everyone starts drinking. And then because they're in that world of partying, drinking, then marijuana is another drug that is available. So they're like, oh, smoking. And then because they're on that path in that community, in that journey, then they start trying a bunch of different stuff.
Right.
And that's what would make it a gateway drug. Because I'm realizing people that have had drug issues that I know, they haven't just struggled with marijuana. There was multiple things, even the combination of different things. So I'm curious if it's more of the fact that alcohol's involved and then you're just kind of making like looser decisions. But if you were to take like a more just were to do marijuana and have an observation there and see what you experience and no alcohol, I feel like you'd be, I don't know, have a stronger state of mind.
You probably definitely would. And I've been lucky though. I mean, I started smoking marijuana, and I don't recommend this at a younger age. I was young. I tried it at 13 the first time. But I think you should be 21 or at least 18 before
because of the brain development.
Just, well, not only that, but it's just like you obviously at that age you need to be focused on other things, right? Goals, whatever. I'm not saying marijuana is going to take you away from that, but I think that I've always been lucky because I grew up in a house where I didn't have to hide what I did from my family, right? So, I mean, my parents, they obviously weren't okay with me smoking weed when I was a kid, but they knew I did it, and I didn't have to. My mom always told me, like, no matter what, you can always come home. You don't have to hide or lie to me or anything like that. Just, you can always come home. So I was always able to be open about what I did. And I think being open about using marijuana or these things with your family is something that's going to keep you away from becoming an addict or living on the street and turning to the drugs. When you know you can turn to your family and you can tell them everything, you don't have to hide nothing, right? So I grew up using marijuana pretty openly, and like I said, my father was a police officer, and I mean, I would respect him. I wouldn't bring it into the house. I wouldn't do things like that, but they knew I smoked, and they were always okay with it. So I was lucky, and I could always be myself, and I could express myself growing up the way I felt needed. So I've always been able to be that way, and that's why to this day I can openly talk about marijuana and things like that. And it's easy because I grew up that way. So
it's funny. I have this debate with people often about like different parenting styles. Observing my parents and then also observing like the path that I want to choose when I raise my kids. And it's like I don't know which one I'd choose. Whether it be the more open, tell me everything, you can do whatever you want, but like I have preferences as a mother, but always come home and always be honest. There's that, or there's this, you can't do this, you can't do that, and if you do, there's going to be consequences, because that's more how I was raised. But what that did is it made me super responsible, super mature about like managing things if I were to try something, and being strategic that my parents wouldn't find out, which would end up just making me very responsible when it came to a lot of things, and really having a good balance, because I couldn't slack off during the week if I was on my parents' radar. And that worked for me. I love how I was raised, and I wouldn't suggest my parents do anything different. But at the same time, to be honest about certain things would be interesting, and just to come home instead of figuring out other situations. So that's still a journey that I'm on, like understanding how honest I can be with my parents and still respecting and honoring how they raised me and the principles that they live by. Like I want to respect that, especially being under their roof. But I don't know as a parent which one I would choose yet.
Well, I mean, I think there's benefits to both. Me, myself, I'm also not a parent.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any kids, but I think I'm going to take the approach of be open with me, be honest, but I'm also your parent. And there are consequences for things if you mess up. But be open and honest, because I grew up with a lot of people who had to hide a lot from their parents. And I think that turned them into having to tell lies, right? And we don't want to get accustomed to having to lie. I think the reason I'm an open, honest person is because I was raised that way, and I've always been able to talk about how I feel, what I'm doing, where I've been, and what's been going on. So, I mean, there's benefits to both, right? I think either way you can raise a quality human being. It's just finding the balance of the two, where you don't want to be too strict, right? Because then your child gains no life experience and they feel this need to go out once they're out from under your roof and go do all these crazy things. And then on the other side, where you don't want to be the friend of your child.
Yeah.
And like, because you're still their parent, you still have to guide them and get them to where you want them to get in life, which is obviously surpassing you and what you've done. So there's that fine balance of, hey, be honest and open with me, but I'm also your protector, your guardian, and your guidance. So being able to find that balance, I think, is key, right? Where you're both.
Yeah, that's what it is.
That's
both.
what it is.
Like,
you got to be both.
Not either of any, not too
Can't
much
wear,
of either.
Can't wear one hat. Can't be the party mom or dad who wants to buy your kid alcohol and, hey, party at our house. But you also can't be that person who's like, for everything you do wrong, you're going to be grounded the rest of your life. Because then I feel like you have nowhere to turn to.
Yeah.
And, you know,
there's a lot of truth in that, especially like eventually you learn how to lie if you have to hide a lot. Because you need to live your life. You need to gain your experiences. Right. Some are more curious than others. And that's like a very dangerous thing to your soul, because lying can become very addictive and very easy and very second nature. Like almost you don't know how to tell the truth anymore because you trained your mind to get used to this lie.
Right.
And I think that's where like cousins and aunties and uncles play a really significant role. I was blessed with a lot of cousins and just could always be honest with them about anything in my life, and that was always refreshing. I feel like that kept my soul cleansed anytime I would have to lie, because realistically every child has to lie. But I think those relationships are really significant, like no matter what parents you have, to have people in your life like mentors, like people that are looking out for you, that you can be 100% yourself. Because with that person, hey, it's not their job to parent you, but they care for you, they love you, they'll always look out for your best interest, and you can be honest with them.
Absolutely. That's very important.
Yeah.
Because lying, like you were saying, you can get to the point where you lie so much, you start believing your own lies.
Yeah.
You start telling people things and you even start believing it. So it's a bad way to be. You want to grow up, and I mean, you want to be able to say how you feel, right? And I think that's a weakness we all have in this world, is we all want to suppress our emotions and our feelings, right?
Yeah.
And talking about how you feel is very important, right? If you don't talk about how you feel, you're not going to get very far. So, you know, coming from the family I come from, I've always been able to talk about how I feel, and we've always openly been able to say I love you, right? And that's something I know that's really hard for people to do. Is I tell people all the time I love them, people I don't even know.
That's awesome.
Right? Because I know we need to hear that.
Yeah.
But because of the way I was raised, I'm very open with love. I'm very open with expressing myself and how I feel, and I feel very fortunate for that. And I feel like that's love I can go give and pass to the rest of the world and help other people. So
yeah, that's so true. That's what it's about. And that's why, like, on this podcast, I want to get a lot of people be challenged to express themselves in maybe ways that's uncomfortable if they're ready, for the sake of other people to listen and be inspired to face their own reality, face their own truth, their own emotions, and have like a door opened of what they need to work on or need to deal with. Because we're such intricate beings that the more we can understand ourselves, understand our truths, the more we can experience true joy and true freedom in our lives. So
true. And being a man, obviously we're taught our whole lives, don't cry, don't talk about how you feel, all these things, right? But I believe if you're going to get far in life, you have to talk about your feelings. You have to be able to express your emotions. If not, you're just going to become this bomb, and you're going to explode.
Yeah.
So
yeah, there's like a balance, because I feel like you're either work hard and just stay grinding, stay working like David Goggins, just go, and then there's people that are like, I don't feel like doing this, or I don't feel like working my job, I don't feel like I want to, lazy. But there's this in between of, you can work hard and have days where you're like, dang, I'm not feeling it, but I'm going to keep showing up. You can
100%.
like consistently work hard and still be honest with how you feel. And it's just really challenging to find that balance, because usually you get to that work hard state of mind by like aggression or by pain or by like not the healthiest reasons. So you're just working out because you have trauma you don't know how to deal with. And that's a lot of people.
Too often.
Yeah.
Too often, right?
Yeah, that's or an ex said they would never believe in him. So he's like, every day I'm going to go to the gym. Or they have family trauma and they just go to the gym and let out that energy. But it's like, you should keep going to the gym, but what's going on inside of you?
Right. Do you want to talk about it? I think if something's going on inside of you, letting it out, right? I mean, physically letting out your feelings through the weights or jiu-jitsu or boxing, that's a good thing. But having friends or family that you can sit down and talk to and tell how you feel and express yourself, and they're not going to judge you and call you weak or those type of things. Those are people that you should hold on to. Yeah. Right? Because they're going to help you get really far in life. So,
you remember when I came to jiu-jitsu class nearly crying?
What was that?
Do you remember when I came to jiu-jitsu class nearly crying?
Yeah, I remember that.
I was just like mad and going through stuff, and you're like, are you okay? And then I was like, yeah, I'm good. Then you just started like speaking so much life over me. You're like, you're doing great. You're just working so hard. You're just hyping me up. And I almost started crying even more. I'm like,
well, sometimes you got to step back and you got to pat yourself on the back too, right? I mean, for a 21-year-old, I mean, you're accomplishing a lot of great things. So you can't work so hard where you lose sight of all the work you've done to get where you are, right? Sometimes you got to stop, turn around and look back and be like, oh yeah, I did all that. And there's more work to do, but hey, good job for doing what you've done so far. Now let's turn around and keep working, right? And that's going to keep you inspired, right? It's going to keep you inspired. So, I mean, obviously, you know, learning how to pat yourself on the back is its own skill, but you got to have friends and family around who are going to pat you on the back. Yeah. Right?
I really do, though. Like, I do take the whole surround yourself with awesome people seriously. And like, I've taken it so seriously to the point where I'm like, dang, everyone should do this, because like what I've been able to accomplish this month, like emotionally, spiritually, energetically, physically, literally, like with this podcast, it's like, I know it's because of the people that are in my life, like you, like Daniel, like my family, like two of my best friends, just so many people that encourage me to be true to myself and encourage me to work hard to do what I love. And it's such a game changer. And, you know, you play a huge role in that, because after coming back here from Carlsbad, I was like, I need to switch it up. I have to switch it up. And you've been someone that's played such a huge role in my life, and just getting my mind sharpened and pushing myself, and like learning how to use jiu-jitsu as like a form of therapy and not overdoing it. Because sometimes I feel like that's how sports is in my mind, or working out, like do it till you overdo it and then you have to rest. But then I'm like, that gym is my happy place. Like when I have time to go to jiu-jitsu, that's a good lucky day for me.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you want to keep it that way. Yeah. You don't want to turn it into, damn, I got to go to jiu-jitsu tonight, or damn, I got to go to the gym. Or you want to keep that balance to where it's like, heck yeah, it's that day of the week. I get to go in there and I get to have my fun. And when I leave, I'm going to feel incredible. And I'm going to be around my people and my tribe. And when I'm around them, they just elevate me. They pick me up. And I know because I'm around great people that I'm going to go far. Right? And you're only as good as your crowd, right? You look around and you're like, who am I hanging out with? Who are my friends? What are they doing? What are their plans? Where are they going? You're only going to be as good as those people. So you got to choose wisely, right? And misery loves company, but so do blessed people, right? So think of it like that.
Yeah, I love it. I'm super grateful. That's why I stay telling everyone about jiu-jitsu, just to be around that, because unlike gym settings, like I think it's we're all craving the same things: community, love, connection, expression, meaning, those kind of things, purpose. And if we don't get that, we try to look for it in different places, whether it's progressing our body through hitting the gym every day. But very rarely can you find a space where you can get so many needs met, like that endorphin release you get from working out, from moving, jiu-jitsu, the social connection that you get from after class talks, connection, the expression you get, one, from physically like moving your body, and like having those moments where you just feel more open because your body's drained, and so you just run your mouth a little bit and you're just like feeling so free, you know, like progression, challenge, feeling like a sense of purpose and meaning, helping each other or improving yourself, or whatever deeper meaning everyone has behind it, to protect your family, to protect yourself, to maybe teach self-defense one day, to be a jiu-jitsu coach because it's good for your mental health. We all have different reasons, but it's like that sport teaches so much of that, and it gives you so much more than people realize. Because I wish I could, you know, tell every person at the gym, like, come in just so we can all be together in a gym and just feel that energy. But that's why weightlifting is like a to me, because no one's there with me, no one's progressing with me. It's so self-focused. So like I try to hit the gym anytime I can, but sometimes when I'm alone doing it, it's just not the same once you got a whole crowd of people.
That's right.
All wanting the same thing.
That's right. And I don't think like your normal working out, it's like more mind and body, right? But I think when you do jiu-jitsu or martial arts in general, it's mind, body, and then you add in your spirit. You find out like how much will you have. You find out how much spirit you really have in you, how much of a fighter you really are. When I think just going to the gym every day and lifting weights, you can quit when you're tired. But fighting, or jiu-jitsu, any type of fighting, you got to learn how to have some spirit, right? You got to learn that inner samurai. You got to
That's so true.
Bring that out, right? So, I mean, that's something you can't get just normally working out. You can only get through testing yourself in, whether it be jiu-jitsu, kickboxing, boxing, MMA. You're going to tap into that spiritual side, right? You're going to tap into that inner gangster, inner fighter you didn't know was in you. So it's important, right?
And everyone has it. Like when I tell these new girls that are they're kind of frail and just, you know, you can tell they don't know what to do with their body. They're like, oh. I'm like, it's all instinctual. Like, you know what to do. You just have to instinctual survival.
That's
do
right.
what you know you have to do. Just don't pull my hair and don't punch me. And like, there's this strength that you get to see come out of someone that looks like they've never done that before. And I'm surprised, like I'm impressed by every woman that has this instinct in them to defend themselves. And it's crazy because we never use that. Jiu-jitsu allows you to use that and tap into that power force in you that's like fight, go. And it's different for women, because men, it comes more naturally. But I think that women have a very unique sense of strength out of like their motherly nature to protect too. And if they can tap into it, like, women are freaking strong.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, like I said, I've seen men and women come in and they're timid, they're weak, right? They don't believe in themselves. And 3, 4, 5 years later, after doing jiu-jitsu, they're superheroes, right? I mean, the way they believe in themselves, the way they look at themselves in the mirror, you know, I can tell that jiu-jitsu changes their life. So, I mean, it can do that for anybody. You just got to come in and you got to be willing to be the nail for a while. You got to be willing to admit you don't know anything, to put on the white belt. I think that's what makes jiu-jitsu and a gi so hard for people, right? Is nobody wants to put on that white belt. Everybody wants to come in there and act like they know a little something. But when you put that gi on and you got to put that white belt on, there's something extra humbling about that, right? Starting at the back of the line, having to stand back there and be the new guy or the new girl. So I think that alone creates massive growth in people. Yeah,
like the natural points of discipline, and the big one is humility.
Totally.
Letting go of your ego, being like, how did you do that? Or how do I get out of this position? How do I get out of my ankle lock? You know, stuff like that. And you have to. There's no way you can learn all that and not take it to your real life.
Right.
You'll go into a new situation and be like, I honestly don't know how to do this. Can you help me? Because you're trained to be humble. But you also are trained to control your strength, which I like too, because that's what you would always tell me. Stop spazzing, like slow down, think, or not really think, like flow. And for me, fitness is always like explode, go, move, fast, lift. And I like that. But jiu-jitsu was so unique in the sense where I could take my time. And my brother told me this when I tell him I was doing jiu-jitsu. He's like, do what Bruce Lee said, be like water. There's always another option. If you get stuck in something, flow into something else. There's always another option. And like, that's just the nature of jiu-jitsu. It's so diverse and unique.
It really is. And the thing is I think when it comes to being a man, men have this, they don't want to admit they don't know how to fight. I think every man wants to act like he knows how to fight, where fighting is something you have to specifically train. And being a man, you don't want to come into a room and be like, I don't know how to fight. So I feel like it's really hard for a lot of men to just drop that, I'm a man, don't get me mad, bro. If I get mad, it's over type mentality. Like, no, go ahead and get mad. You know nothing. But if you come in here, you're not only going to get mad and learn how to control not getting mad, but you're going to really learn how to do some damage. And you don't got to be out here pretending. Yeah. Right. And so many men I come across, man, all the time in the gym, they don't want to give up the act. They want to act like they know how to fight because they're a man, but it's not like that. You got to come in and you got to put in the time and the work, and you got to learn those skills before you can walk that walk. So I think men struggle with that, right? The ego, I'm a man, I know how to fight. But it's not like that. If you don't practice, you don't know. So
yeah, being a man is so different than being a woman.
Totally.
Like the challenges are so uniquely different. I think ego is a very tough one to deal with. I think that's the biggest struggle as a man. Like once you die to your ego, you experience freedom. Just a lot of, it's really hard to. But the ones that do or have acknowledged it and have said it seem much more comfortable in their own skin.
So true, right? You have to drop the act, and you got to look in the mirror, and you got to be able to be honest with yourself, right? Because if you're lying to yourself, how are you going to be honest with other people?
Yeah.
Isn't that the truth, right? You got to look in the mirror and be like, this is where I'm weak, right? And acknowledge your weakness, but also look in the mirror and compliment your strengths, right? But you got to know where you're weak. If you're going to get anywhere in life, you got to know where you're weak, and you got to surround yourself with people that are going to help you overcome your weakness. So if fighting is one of them, hey, we got you. You know where we are. So.
Oh, and then this other thing I wanted to ask you about, because I wrote it in my notes. So you're a person of faith.
Correct.
When did that happen?
I'm probably around my 30th birthday, so about 7 years ago. One of my really good friends, his father had got out of prison after doing a really long time, like over 20 years. And after talking with him and him explaining to me why he's not afraid to die, I think that kind of made me start looking at God.
Dang.
And not religion. Because religion, I think spirituality and religion are two different things, right? Where religion has been touched by the hand of man, so it's been corrupted. But being spiritual, that's between you and God, right? So I consider myself maybe not religious, but I'm spiritual, and I believe that I'm here because God put me here, and I have a purpose, and I'm here to fulfill my purpose. And I think that's the ultimate strength in life, is realizing, you're not here by accident. Your creator put you here. Find your purpose, and don't confuse it with your passion. Find your purpose and serve. So,
what's the difference between purpose and passion?
Purpose is what God put you on this earth to do. Passions are things you enjoy doing, right? But there's many things I enjoy. I have many passions, but I have one purpose. So I'm lucky enough to have found my purpose, but that's only because I found God.
Dang.
And so it's been about 7 years. And like I said, I'm spiritual. I wouldn't call myself a religious man. I do go to church, but obviously the hierarchy within the church and the money, the wealth, and those things kind of turn me off, because again, they want to preach one thing to us, but it's like, if you have all that, why don't you give some back to the people who need it? So I'm a man of spirituality, not necessarily religion. So
Yeah, I can definitely tell. Like, you'll throw in some terms. I'm like, hey, I've read that before.
Right.
Iron sharpens iron.
That's right.
You said that when you hit me in the head. And you're like, oh, I'm sorry, you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm good. Oh, iron sharpens iron, right?
That's true,
was
though,
so funny.
Right? It's true. So yeah, I believe God, everybody needs God in their life, whether they realize it or not. I mean, so many people around me, we talked about how jiu-jitsu brings all these broken people to me, right? I feel like the one thing they're missing is faith.
And how does someone find that?
That's a tough one, right? They have to be willing to give up control. You got to realize you're not here by accident, and you're also not in control, right? All you have control over is your mind, and the rest you have to give to God. So,
dang, isn't that life?
Yeah, we have no control. We're out here. There's so many people in here trying to be in control. Those are the people who are struggling the most. Give it up. Life's easier that way.
Yeah, I think that's the most challenging thing about having faith. Because when you really want something, when you really love something, you want to control it. And that's one way to lose it quick.
That's 100% true.
But if you just let it go, let it flow.
That's right.
Trust God. It seems like things will go for you if you do the work.
Put it in God's hands and watch the magic happen. Right? And realize all you have is today. Yesterday's gone. Tomorrow's not here yet. Focus on today. Handle business today. And watch what tomorrow brings.
That's awesome. Well, Coach Murph, I'm going to have you on here again for sure very soon once I get in the flow and we muster up some more things to talk about. But thank you so much for being on my podcast. Do you have any last words, anything you want to leave off of elevation and inspiration and motivation that you want to share?
Well, I mean, I just want to say first, thanks for having me. And if you want to elevate your life, just live one day at a time. That'd be the best advice I could give. Focus on today. Tomorrow will be easy.
Wow. Thank you so much.
Thank you.